When a wrestler wins a title in WWE, they should always have the aim to have the best possible reign. Often a wrestler will want to add as much value as possible to the title that they're holding, but sometimes it doesn't always work out this way, and the wrestler, mainly thanks to poor booking, will completely devalue that title. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 WWE wrestlers who actually devalued a WWE title. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. Number 10. Alberto Del Rio, US title. In the summer of 2015, the US title was arguably the most valued title in WWE. John Cena was the reigning champion, and Cena was delivering the best work of his career by having classic matches on a weekly basis. Cena would launch the US title open challenge, and Cena had tremendous matches with everyone up and down the card. In a weird move, WWE decided to have Cena drop the US title to a returning Alberto Del Rio at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in 2015. This was a move which received substantial criticism, as fans were pushing for a young star or even a member of the New Day to be the one to dethrone Cena. Del Rio's US title reign was atrocious, and the value of the title plummeted overnight. WWE and Cena had put in so much effort to make the US title mean something, and it was all ultimately for nothing. Number 9. Mideon European Championship. Whilst the European title was always presented as somewhat inferior to the Intercontinental Championship, there were some great reigns throughout WWE history. From the likes of D'Lo Brown and Eddie Guerrero were all memorable, but when Mideon won the title in 1999, fan interest in the title had never been lower. Mideon would find the European title in Shane McMahon's bag, and in an awkward exchange, Mideon was given the title by McMahon. Winning a title in this manner was never going to be well received, and this was evidence that WWE creative team had no plans to feature the European title in a credible manner. Mideon's reign would be a total dud, as he would have 0 successful title defenses, and he would eventually drop the title to D'Lo Brown at the fully loaded pay-per-view. Number 8. Dean Ambrose US title. Dean Ambrose was insanely popular during his WWE run, but unfortunately, he is well established for having one of the worst reigns imaginable as US champion. Ambrose would win the title at the Extreme Rules event in 2013, and following the huge win, he would embark on a 351-day reign, which on paper sounds exciting, yet it was far from it. Ambrose barely defended the title, and it was a running joke within the wrestling community that WWE had forgotten that Ambrose was even champion. The reign had so much potential, yet it seemed like WWE were more interested in running storylines focused on the Shield faction, rather than allowing Ambrose to enter his own personal feuds over the once prestigious title. Ambrose would eventually drop the title to Sheamus in a battle royal on Raw, and this decision was met with universal applause, as finally WWE realized that the US title was a title that needed to be defended. Number 7. Ezekiel Jackson Intercontinental title. At one point in time, WWE believed that Ezekiel Jackson would be a huge deal. Jackson would win the Intercontinental title at the Capital Punishment pay-per-view, and to his credit, Jackson received a great ovation upon winning the title. Soon after winning the title, it dawned on WWE that Jackson didn't have the in-ring ability to carry such an illustrious title. His 51-day reign was a total bore, as WWE were reluctant to feature him on TV, and fans were quick to question why they put the title on him in the first place. Jackson's reign would come to a dramatic end when Cody Rhodes defeated him on SmackDown, and thankfully Rhodes went into his Intercontinental title reign with every intention of elevating the title as much as humanly possible. Number 6. Santino Marella US title. In March of 2012, WWE made the bold call to crown Santino Marella as their new US champion. Whilst Marella was insanely gifted at delivering comedy segments, the idea of another mid-card title reign for Marella wasn't exactly one that fans were pushing for. Instead of this being a standard transitional reign, the reign lasted what seemed like a lifetime, clocking in at 167 days. During this reign, Marella never made it to the main event show of the pay-per-view in a title defense, and he'd often be relegated to the pre-show for his US title defenses. He would eventually drop the title during the pre-show at the 2012 SummerSlam event to Cesaro, which was a welcome move as the fanbase had become rather sick of Marella's reign. Number 5. Albert Intercontinental title. The first half of 2001 was a special time for the IC title. Names such as Chris Jericho, Triple H, and Kane all held on to the gold, yet for some reason, they decided to give up on presenting the title in a respectful manner. That's when they decided to give Albert a run with the title. Albert was a lower mid-card guy and he was barely getting a reaction on television, so the logic of putting the title on him was brought into question. He would defeat the legendary Kane to win the title on a random episode of SmackDown, and there was curiosity to see how Albert's reign would go. Unfortunately, nobody cared, and giving him the title failed to connect him with the audience, and that's likely why he would drop the title to the talented Lance Storm within a few short weeks. Number 4. Jack Swagger World Title. Now it came as a huge surprise when Jack Swagger won the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 26. While Swagger was a solid in-ring talent, the notion of him being world champion was never really one that had crossed the minds of the fanbase. They waited a matter of days before Swagger cashed in on Chris Jericho to become world champion. This was a really risky move, as Swagger was arguably one of the least credible talents to ever become world champion. He would lose match after match on TV, and his world title reign was presented as a complete fluke. These types of reigns can work well, but they aren't suited for the top prize in the company, and Swagger's reign negatively impacted the value of the world title. He would eventually drop the title to Rey Mysterio in a fatal 4-way in the summer of 2010, however, the damage was already done, and it was no surprise by that the second half of the year, WWE was switching gears and booking The Undertaker and Kane to feud over the title in a clear attempt to rebuild some of the title's prestige. Number 3. Austin Theory US Title. Austin Theory's latest US title reign started at the 2022 Survivor Series event, and the idea for Theory's reign was to get him ready for a showdown with John Cena at WrestleMania 39. The few months leading up to the match were rather underwhelming, as Theory's US title reign wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire, but with Cena returning to TV, fans hoped that this would begin to change. Cena would put over Theory at WrestleMania 39, which was a huge win for him, and this should have led to Theory being presented as one of the greatest US champions of all time. Unfortunately, WWE came out of WrestleMania with no concrete plans for Theory and his reign, and for months following WrestleMania, Theory endlessly lingered around Raw and SmackDown with just nothing to do. Theory would eventually drop the US title to Rey Mysterio in August of 2023, putting an end to Theory's 258-day reign. Number 2. Chavo Guerrero ECW title. There was a ton of debate surrounding the status of WWE's version of the ECW title. When the title debuted in 2006, it was labeled and marketed as a world title. Even when Taker won the 2007 Rumble, one of his options for WrestleMania 23 was to face ECW champion Bobby Lashley. However, a few months after this, WWE seemed to change their minds when it came to whether or not the ECW title was actually a world title. The world title element of the ECW title would be rarely mentioned, and it was made perfectly clear that the title was no longer a world title during the 2008 Rumble. In a weird move, reigning ECW champion Chavo Guerrero would enter the Rumble in the hopes of competing for a world title at WrestleMania 24. This baffled fans, and it was made clear to the entire WWE fanbase that the ECW title wasn't a title they should care about. Guerrero's reign was nothing special, mainly thanks to WWE's poor marketing and booking surrounding the status of the title. He would eventually drop the title to Kane in an 11-second squash, which marked the first and only time that an ECW title had been defended at WrestleMania. And number 1. Jinder Mahal WWE title. The WWE title is the most prestige title in WWE history, and they'd been rather protective when it came to which wrestler wins the gold. There have been some rather underwhelming names to hold the title, yet perhaps the most notorious was when WWE pulled the trigger on Jinder Mahal winning the gold in 2017. Mahal was a lower mid-card guy in the company, and due to WWE wanting to expand in the Indian market, he was pushed to the moon. Rather than Mahal's push taking time, they instantly pushed Mahal into the main event scene, and within weeks, he had won the title from Randy Orton. His reign was met with incredible negative reviews from fans, as his character and matches weren't what fans wanted to see in 2017. Mahal had truly disappointing matches with the likes of Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura. But this wasn't just a brief reign, as Mahal's reign lasted 4 months and he wouldn't drop the title until November 2017. They had a ton of work to do to rebuild the legitimacy of their top prize, and they 100% made the right call to have AJ Styles be the one to take on such an enormous responsibility. But there you have it, folks, 10 WWE wrestlers who actually devalued a WWE title. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.